Hello and welcome in. Mark here, aka the Markster. This is video number 42 in the FreeCAD series. Today we're going to revisit the last video about gear animations and expand upon that a little bit and show you how to do the objects after the gear. That, for example, if you pad the gear and you want to rotate that body, it's going to move in a different way. It's not going to spin in place like the gear does. It's going to move about the center origin. So I'm going to show you how to work around that today. Let's look at which version I'm using. 0.19, revision number 19758. This is one of the development builds. In other words, we've got always a stable and a development version going at the same time, and we're in the 0.19 development cycle. So this version is almost daily. There are code changes to the source code, and I'm on Windows 10. Now this is episode 42, so I would be remiss, I think, if I did not at least mention that 42 is the answer to the question of life, the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Alright, let's go ahead and load that last video, that last model, and I'm going to save this as 042. Gear animation v2. Alright, so if you haven't watched 41, go ahead and watch that, because this is not going to make as much sense to you if you don't. So let's just in review, let's run this macro. It's not working the same way it was yesterday, is it? Or did I just miss this yesterday and not notice it? This one is spinning in the wrong direction. I have to go back and watch that other video and see if it was doing it that day too, and I just didn't notice. Let's see. Let's try times 2 instead of times minus 2. And let me load this macro. I don't want to go through the whole thing again. Let's go 120 instead of 360. Save that. Yeah. So how this happened, I'm not sure. What would be different about today, or did I just not notice and it was doing it yesterday? So now we need to fix this one. And I think if we say 7° minus that, it'll work. Let's try that and see. Save this file. So I've rectified that mistake. I don't know how I missed that. Okay, so I mentioned in the other video that if we padded these, it would be a lot slower because it has to redo the pad each rotation. Now, of course, you cannot have these three pads all in the same body because the objects, the shapes in the body must all be one contiguous shape, and these are not overlapping. So we need two extra bodies. Let's go into part design. I don't like this task view. I'd rather stay in the model view. Let's make a couple more bodies and drag gear 1 into body 1. Will it let me do that, or will I have to use I have to right click and choose move object to other body, body 1, move object to other body, body 2. Alright, now let me clear these warnings. Let's just run the animation, see if it still works. Yeah, we're getting okay. Not found because it's not in body anymore, it's in body 02. What sub-object are you talking about? Let's see if the dependency graph. I would have thought we would be getting out of scope errors referencing this gear from this body across into another body. It should not allow us to do that, I think, but I guess it is. But we're getting this warning. So what I'm going to do is create some new angle properties. Go into dynamic data, and add another angle. This will be angle 2. I'm going to set it for 0 at the moment. And another one. This one will be angle 3. Alright. So angle 2 will be angle 1 times 2. And here we just set this to angle 2 instead. So now we're referencing a global object. The DD object is not in any body, instead of referencing an object inside of another body. And this one needs to be 7 minus angle 2. No, 7 minus angle. So that'll be angle 3 equals 7 degrees minus, that's 112. Which is what we want. And let's see, I need to set this now instead to that DD property, angle 3. Alright, let's save these changes and run that macro again. Yeah, now we're not getting the warnings anymore. Alright, so we fixed one little problem that we didn't even know we had. Now let's create some more problems. So I'm going to make this body active by double clicking on it. Or you can right click and toggle active body. And we'll pad this, and I'm going to use 5 millimeters. And then we'll pad the other one. Let's right click, toggle this one active, and pad it 5 millimeters again. I guess 10 would have been okay. Right click, toggle active body, click on the involute gear, pad it 5 millimeters. Alright, now if we run the animation, let me save those changes. If we run the animation, it's going to be a lot slower. Is it even running? Yeah. Look how slow it is. And the reason it's so slow, it's got to redo all those pads each time, because you're changing the underlying object by rotating it. So we gotta wait for this to finish, don't we? Now in the debug menu, in the macro menu, you have the option to execute or to debug. If you choose debug, you can stop debugging and stop the macro while it's executing, but it runs more slowly in debug mode. Okay, it looks like it finally stopped. I'm glad I moved it to a smaller amount. Anyway, like I was saying, if you run the debug, you can stop it. It just runs slower. Or if I was debugging in Visual Studio, I could have stopped it by going into the immediate window and changing the value of that loop variable. I could have changed AA to like 118 or something, and then it would just have 2 more to go through. Okay, so how do we speed this up? Well, what we could do, instead of rotating the envelope gear, rotate the body object instead. So let's try that. And then it won't have to rebuild. I'm going to set this at 0. I'm going to clear it. Put it at 0. Do the same with this gear. Let's just set these back to 0. I'm going to clear these. And this one as well. Okay, yeah, we'll set this one also, it's clear it and set it at 0. So they're all back at 0. Of course, these are not meshing because it needs to be 7 degrees off. But I'll set body here to angle, and body 1 to angle 2. And body 2, where you at? To angle 3. And it moved everything over, didn't it? Okay. Let me run the animation, but I want to change it to a smaller amount still. Let's just go to 20 degrees. Save that. And see what happens. Well, it's faster than it was, but obviously not going where we want it to go, which was expected. But it is going a little bit faster than having to pad these again. So what we really need to do is put these in separate part containers. You might remember from an earlier video I mentioned that the part container provides its objects within it a local coordinate system. So let's add 3 part containers, and I'll put body into part, body 1 into part 1, body 2 into part 2. And now let's run this again and see what happens. Same thing as expected. And the reason is we need to rotate. Let's see what we need to do to fix this. We need to move these gears. We might have been able to do this without the parts, maybe just in the bodies. It might have worked. Let's try it like this. Move the envelope gear back to the origin. Let's be back to 0. And then move the body out to 49. Yeah, this, I think we still need, yeah, we still need the part. In this gear, we'll put it back to 0, the gear object, but the body needs to be moved out, and that was at 98. Alright, now I'm expecting this to work like it's supposed to. Albeit a bit slower. And we're getting the opposite rotation again. It's confusing me. I know how to fix it, I just don't know why I have to fix it. Alright, let's try that. And then we need to fix this last one. Instead of 7 minus, let's try plus. It's still slow though. It's slower than I thought it would be doing it this way. Because we don't need to redo the pad each time. I don't think we do. I think without the parts, the bodies would be, yeah, the bodies would be spinning around like this too. So the part container is providing that local coordinate system, and that enables us to have the body object. Let's put the body at 0. If we do that and rotate the part, then the entire thing's going to move the wrong way. Yeah, so this is how we have to do it. The way I'm doing it here, I'm having kind of a brain moment here. So the part containers give you the local coordinate system. We can expand this origin and see that you get axis, an individual X, Y, and Z axis for each origin if we make it visible. You see the origin for that part. I was expecting that to be over here though. Okay, yeah, the body origin. is what's going to move over here. And we're rotating the body. The body object is being rotated. But I don't see why it's going slower. It should, to me, it should be going the same speed as we got just rotating the gears. That's what's got me kind of confused here. Another option for doing this would be to modify the script so that the script is doing the rotation instead of the expression engine, because we're doing it by linking to the DD objects, which are each linked to each other. Well, each of these two are linked to this first one. So we change this first value, the angle value, in the script. You see, the only thing that's changing is angle. But we could rotate those objects, those bodies, in the script instead. And we can specify in the script, we can specify the center of the rotation. But this way we're doing it keeps this script very short and very simple, and I think a little more reusable, a little more flexible, because we're just changing a variable within the script. And if you wanted to move something instead of rotating, it would be fairly simple to change that x coordinate, for example, and move your object as your animation, or the map path parameter if you wanted to move an object that was attached to another object. If you wanted to move it along the object that it's attached to. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the speed of these animations. I thought it would be a little faster doing it like this. For some reason, I guess it's redoing. I don't guess it's redoing the pads, because it is a lot faster than what we did when we had to redo the pads each time. That was so slow, I wasn't even sure it was still working. Now maybe on a faster computer, one with better hardware than what this one has, it's getting long in the tooth. This is one of the original i7 processors, and it has really a bottom shelf video card. Was not designed for graphics, and when I bought it, I had no intention of using it for CAD. I just wanted a general purpose. I'm not into games, so I figured that video card would be fine, and maybe a better video card would render this faster. I don't know if it would or not. So your mileage may vary on your system if you have something a little more up to date than this one, or with a little better video system. So hopefully I haven't confused you too much with all this. For some reason these gears, objects, they rotate in place. I don't know why, if that's a bug or if it was intended as a feature for these, or what the deal is. But anything else, you can see when you rotate, it goes around the origin, which is right here. So you rotate around the origin when you do the body, unless you put it in its own part container. Let me try moving those parts and rotating the body inside. So I'm going to put this body at 0. That might speed it up. And move the part over to 98. Alright, and this body, we'll put it back to 0 instead of 49. And we'll move this part over to 49. And now let's see. It's not any faster, but it's achieving the same effect. And now if we show the part origin, is that clear as mud or what? Still not any faster though. Maybe just rotating these 3D objects, it just takes longer than rotating these two-dimensional gear objects. That could be the answer to that. Now when you mesh gears in the real world, you don't want them all the way in, because you end up with getting more wear. So you don't want this all the way in, and this might be too close as it is here, for a real world application. There's a certain distance you want them apart. Well, that's going to do it for today. Hopefully I cleared things up a little bit from the earlier video without confusing you too much, as much as I confuse myself anyway. Just remember that the part container gives you that local coordinate system, and so by having the body now back to 0, when you rotate it, it's rotating about its own z-axis, or whichever axis you choose, instead of trying to rotate around the global, which if we see, this is the global axis. Alright, well that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching and have a great day.